Chippewa County Board of Commissioners Annual Organizational Meeting. As always, we'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Egan, why don't you start us off?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And clerk, please take roll call attendance.
Commissioner Egan.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner McLean.
Here.
And Chairman Shackleton.
Here. So we are all here. First item of business for the new year is the annual election of vice chairman. So, what's your pleasure?
I would nominate Mr. McLean for that. Commissioner McLean?
Thank you. Would support that if you need support.
So we have one person nominated, Commissioner McLean. Are there any other nominations on the floor? Do we need a roll call vote on this, or is a voice vote okay? Do you know?
Let's just do a roll call to
Just
cover.
be
I think a
safe.
voice vote is okay, but let's do a roll call.
Okay. I'm just going to close the nominations, and we'll take a roll call vote for Commissioner McLean to serve in the position of vice chair.
Commissioner Egan.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner McLean.
Yes.
Chairman Shackleton.
Yes. Congratulations, Commissioner McLean.
Thank you.
We move to public comments. Is there anybody in the public who would like to speak and address the board? This is your opportunity. Second chance for public comments. Last chance. Anybody wants to speak under public comments and address the board? I declare the public comment period closed. We move to item 6, new business, meeting schedule and times. This is on page 1 of your package. Kelly made up a proposed regular board meeting schedule for both finance, claims and accounts, and the regular board meetings. And it is up to this board to approve, disapprove, or otherwise.
I move that we accept as presented. I thought these Thursday meeting, or do we have to have a second then discussion, or can we discuss
We better
that
do
second?
the second. Yeah.
Do a second, and then we'll get
Okay,
discussion.
I'll second that motion then.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Discussion.
Okay, somewhere in my readings over the last weeks, and there's been lots of them, was there mention made, and I see it's Thursdays. I thought I saw something that we were going to change our regular meetings to Thursdays also. Is that my imagination?
I thought, I kind of got that feeling too, and I thought, Commissioner Shackleton, we needed to have that at a different time for you,
yeah.
for your summers.
Yeah, I thought we did Thursdays. No?
But
You didn't get that memo? Okay.
But I thought we were,
Yeah,
we were doing
that's-
like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon
that's
because
what-
you had to be on the course with the leagues.
Summer ones.
No. Oh, so you changed the summer ones to Thursdays.
Yes.
Okay, so she just changed the summer ones to Thursdays,
But at the
but
same
stayed
time-
5:30 all around. So yeah, there's just, yeah. I can see how you interpreted it that way. That we just change the summer ones to Thursdays and leave the other ones at Mondays. So it's pleasure of the board. Do you want to go the way it's presented, or do you want to change all the meetings to Thursdays?
Well, I think to me, for consistency, and it doesn't bother me, and I don't know how the rest of it affects you, but I just soon stay with a Thursday meeting all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And once we have it on Thursday, we have it on Thursday. But then you got to realize I'm 70 years old. I'm retired. I only have to answer to my wife, my grandkids, my son, that bunch. So if it's handier for some other thing, I can meet anytime, anywhere, whatever. But I'm thinking, when I saw that come through, I got the impression we were going to change all the regular meetings to Thursday at 5:30.
And
Go
the other
with
thing, I got an email, I can't even remember who it was for, that, about the Thursdays, and I know sometimes Kelly's just absolutely out of her mind going from, especially like one time we had to move the finance meeting and everything, you know, so if she's got a week to prepare everything, I think that might work out better, but as far as the 5:30 time in the summers, I thought, didn't you
No,
need
on
like 1
Thursdays.
o'clock? But on Thursdays, you're good at
it's fine.
5:30?
That was the compromise.
Oh, is
Commissioner Egan said that if it was 5:30, it would be so much more helpful for him, so we said, well, how about Thursdays?
Because then
Means
he
less
wouldn't.
work
This
that I have to
seems
take
like
off.
it worked for
Okay, so
everybody.
we're
Do you,
helping
Kelly,
here, and here?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Kelly,
That's
for scheduling purposes, do you see any problem with just changing it to Thursdays all year round?
The second Thursday,
Um,
regular commission meetings?
I don't.
You don't see a problem with it? You're not crazy about it.
No, because if you take a Friday off, like if you're one of us, if you take Friday off, then you gotta wait till the Thursday night meeting to get over instead of getting out of town on Thursday night. That's the only, but that's personal too,
But we can go with it the way you got it rolled, right? And that works for you.
I'm okay either way, personally.
I like it the way you got it rolled.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's,
Instead of going with them all on Thursdays.
Yeah, just a few of them on Thursday, 3 of them.
I got no big problem with it.
No, I don't either. That's fine.
Yeah.
it,
either
6
way,
to
it's
1,
just
half
change.
dozen to
I
the
mean,
other.
it is
and
nicer to have that time in between, because then if something comes up, you've got time to clean it up, and get it added to the next Thursday instead of it being back to back.
Well, we have a motion before us. Are we comfortable voting on it, or does someone want to amend it, or we just want to leave it the way it is?
Well, I guess, I know it may infringe on, vacations and stuff like that, but I think what we would gain by efficiency of going with all Thursday meetings would be more important. I hate to diminish the importance of how our employees take their vacations and so on, but I guess I would ask that we, and I don't know the procedure, to
I guess-
amend it so they'd be all Thursdays.
I guess I'm misunderstanding the vacation part. Is it because I wasn't clear on that. Are we changing it because of the vacation of our employees?
No,
But is it going to incur us more cost if they have to come? I mean, yes, I understand we're making them shift it around a little bit.
No, because we don't get paid to come here.
Okay, well,
it's just one consideration.
start paying
It's one consideration out of many.
Because I understand that if I'm taking a Friday off, or, well, we've got our semester break coming up, so Friday's unpaid day, so if I'm going to the cabin, I'm going Thursday at 3:15. I totally understand where you're coming from
Right,
there. Who wants to hang around here and leave at 7 o'clock? That kind of kills the whole day. Conceivable, would Wednesdays work with you? You got Wednesday leagues. Wednesdays would not work, okay.
no, you got league, right? Yeah.
Okay.
During the
yeah,
summer,
that-
Thursdays are great.
As long as we have enough time in between that it's going to allow for things that come up to be addressed. That is a concern of mine,
Well-
because there is stuff that we field in between the meetings because it happens.
But it always has. I mean,
Yep.
Okay,
That's true.
I,
And Kelly
I've
has
only
always
been here for a
handled it.
year, so
Yeah.
Well, so,
We've tried other things, why not try it and see what happens?
Let's try this, see what happens. You made a motion, we got a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you calling the question? Is that what I hear?
May I have one thing to say?
Sure.
Do we, just to be on a formal technical question, because we're supposed to have bylaws in place, does that also mean the motion would include changing Article 1 on page of County Board Policy 101 to reflect those changes?
Oh, yeah, you guys do have to change that. I think if whoever, maker of the motion, who made the motion?
Alrighty.
I did. Yeah.
Connor made the motion, it was supported by Rudy?
Yes.
Okay, so
I
as long
would-
as it's understood that
I-
that would include any needed changes to the
The amendment
bylaws
to
to
the bylaw.
accommodate that schedule. Okay. the second as well.
Yes, that was implied.
I thought it was. I just thought I'd double check for formality purposes. All right, well, let's vote on this, and if it fails, then we'll come back at it with something else. So, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
And if you're opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. We'll proceed with that schedule. That takes care of that. And then we proceed, oh, there's the agenda there. Holiday schedule. Holiday schedule is on page 2. These are set out every year. Some of these are through collective bargaining. Some are just happen to be holidays that we recognize and close the courthouse for. So we need to accept the holiday schedule.
I'd move we accept the holiday schedule as presented.
Support.
Motion made and supported. Is there discussion?
I mean, sorry,
Go ahead.
he's thinking, is this something that we could add like Pi Day to? I mean, we think that the whole county should have.
March 17th?
Yeah, March 14th.
Don't get into that unless you're
All
on
right,
the personnel committee, okay?
I'm asking.
Well, it could happen. Okay. Jim, are you all set?
I'm,
Or Joe?
yes, my brain answered my own
Okay.
question.
I like it when mine.
Any further discussion?
Doesn't
All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. All right, we move to the, oh, heck, we didn't even approve the agenda. There's no line item for approving the agenda today.
Good catch.
I think we should make that. I'd move that we approve the agenda as we're working with.
We need to make an addition to it, though.
Oh,
There is a request from the Upward Talent Council to make an appointment to their board.
okay.
And,
I would move that we make that addition.
Did I- Okay.
go ahead.
And I had another minor adjustment that I wanted to make to it, adding commissioner comments at the end. We don't have that on here.
How about you I will just allow that.
Yeah,
When we get to it.
No problem.
Informally, we'll
What,
add that.
what about an addition with, the, technology
That's what we're about to do. We're all
addition
set.
also?
Yeah, for the health department?
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Okay,
item
oh,
D.
never mind.
Yeah, that's D.
Okay. I would amend my motion then that we accept the agenda with the addition of the item that you had mentioned, Scott.
Okay.
I would second that.
And Commissioner
Yeah,
Martin
he's got
supports it. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. So we will proceed with the agenda that's approved, and we will add this UTC board appointment to item H, item 6H under new business. Okay, so we return now to the Chippewa County, oh no, I almost skipped one. County bylaws, C. So I think, I'm guessing that you would like to speak on this, Commissioner McLean?
Yes, would we need a motion to bring it up, or can we just discuss it informally at this point?
Gosh, I think to do it right, we need a motion. We need a motion to discuss it, I guess. You know, let's just relax the policy as we're discussing the bylaws, and just go ahead and talk about it.
Okay. Then, if I could be ready.
Yes, please.
Okay. There's been a lot of discussion on my part relative to adjustments in the bylaws. We've had a lot of discussion during the year on the issue, what I think are the issues. And I went through the bylaws, and there were very few, if any, changes that I saw that needed to be made, except on, it's page 10 on the official number of the bylaws. And I'm trying to find it on your agenda, because it might have a different number on our agenda tonight. Jeff.
Well, with the handout that you passed
Yeah,
out, it's
the
on there.
handout. If you've got that, it's written at the top, it says idea in red. Everybody got that? So
Mm-hmm.
everybody find it, Connor? I
Yeah.
laid one there for you. Okay.
Thank you.
The thing that has been an issue with me over the number of years is the appointment of filling appointments in the December meeting when a new board would be coming in January or something to that effect. And what that appeared to me to be is not a real efficient way to do it for a number of reasons. First of all, you have an outgoing board who has no responsibility to anybody anymore because it's their last meeting, and I guess some of them have ongoing responsibilities, but some are not going to be returning through retirement, voted out of office, or so on and so forth. And yet they're making decisions on committees that include commissioners on decision-making boards that are, I believe, important. That has bothered me. Okay, and again, I've sat here for 7 years, and I've seen some things that I really didn't appreciate the way it was done. I've seen and I've cited outstanding candidates passed over, people who were just credentials extremely and good people and everything else, passed over for a variety of reasons. I didn't go and ask what those reasons were, why people voted in a particular way, but it just didn't appear to me to be appropriate. And my thinking was that we should change that so that appointments made, instead of being made by an outgoing board per se, would be made by the new commission coming in. So, in going through this process, I thought, okay, how can it be done? I enlisted the advice of a number of people, and I came up with this idea that I have here. And it would involve, if you go down halfway through that page, there's something that I've written in red, great. Some of my handwritings get a little shaky now, but and it would read, it would be an addition to our bylaws. It would say, for vacancies that expire on 12/31st, the Board of Commissioners will nominate and vote to fill the previously approved nominees at the Board of Commission January organizational meeting. So what that says is that if a position expires or ends on the 31st of December of a year, that appointment would be put off for the new board to make at their organizational meeting, because it can't be put off too long, but at their organizational meeting. Okay, that would be one change I think would go a long ways to correcting the situation.
Can I suggest, Commissioner, we do one at a time?
Sure.
Okay.
I got no problem.
Yeah, let's deal with that one, because
Okay, then.
the way I see it, and I think you've laid it out well here too, is that there's basically two issues you wish to address.
Yeah.
So let's do them one at a time.
Okay, so I would move that we accept this addition. It would be under 9.6 of our bylaws.
I'll support.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, and it is open for discussion.
I have to say that this is one of the things that's bothered me in the year that I have sat in this seat, is that there are certain boards that, not that I'm dealing with any repercussions of outgoing commissioners' decisions, but that I didn't have a say in, that I've now sat for a year, and there are people on boards that I maybe wouldn't have put there, but I'm still having to deal with the repercussions of. So it does add a bit of accountability to what you are doing.
Okay. I don't think it's a secret that Don and I have opposing views on this. I certainly respect his views and those that, as we have opposing views on many things. But I'd like to take the opportunity to explain why I am opposed to this idea. Number one, every commissioner is elected for, and has the responsibility to their job until January 1st. They are charged to do their responsibility to the best of their ability, representing their community until January 1st. They continue to do that at every meeting, through the budget process, through everything we do. They have that responsibility to continue to fill that role. The positions that we're asked to fill that are vacant for January 1st, for us to do that in a timely manner would be done before January 1st. What I'm suggesting is that the county commission just continue to do its job and fill those positions before January 1st, rather than, in my opinion, injecting politics into it and moving it to January. You all just went through the process of making appointments. It's not a lot of fun, is it? It's not the best part of the job. How would you like to walk in your first day on the job and say, guess what? Here's a folder of appointments. You got to make a decision of who to appoint. I think that, to your point, Commissioner Egan, you have more opportunity after a year to understand the boards that you're about to appoint to get acquainted with the people who are potential candidates over that year, rather than the first day that you take office. So I just think that for this commission to do its job is to make those appointments before the vacancies occur. And to put it off, I don't understand it. I don't understand why you would somehow say, let's do it in January. If you want to, we could move it to November, and we could make those appointments in November so that they're filled for January 1st, if you don't like doing them in December. But it makes no sense to me to move them to January when these boards are now empty, and you potentially have new commissioners that you're giving the burden of saying, guess what? Welcome to the commission. You get to make these appointments now. So,
And to that point,
Go ahead.
I would say that I at least would be making the decision that affected me, not somebody else making the decision and then me having to deal with it. It would be on me who I appointed, not who appointed them, and then I walk into the job. I would at least have some control over it.
But
And it is going to go to another point where I think that the process needs to be amended. In order for us to vote on these people, I think that we should be able to meet them, or have to meet them, before we vote for them. Because frankly, there were some people there that, yes, I have all their information sheet, but it still is good to be able to shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye, and be able to have a discussion with them in order to make a decision on them.
And Commissioner Egan, to that point, you have a lot more opportunity to schedule time as a commission to meet with, to talk to commissioners as a commissioner during the year, rather than on your first day in office. So if that's your concern, that you want to set up a process beforehand where the elected county commissioners can meet and talk with these folks, then you're better off doing it in December.
I would disagree. You can sit down and talk with them before making the decision, and you take the oath, and at least you have the education when you make the vote in your first meeting. It's not like you're making an actual official process by sitting down with them. All you're doing is shaking their hand and asking them a few questions and getting to know them before you vote on them. And it is an elected official. I think it would be my duty to maybe start the job a couple of days and learn before I actually sit down in this seat and make a vote.
All right. Well, I'm not going to try to take all the time here on this issue, but I would simply remind the board that I believe that in timely filling these appointments that are open on January 1st, the board, if it's doing its job properly, does it before January 1st. And I'm just saying the board should do its job, not inject politics into it, and just do it the way it's been done, and I don't see the problem. But, you know, it's up to the Majority of the board, as it always is. Commissioner McLean.
You know, a couple of points that I want to make, and Connor, you brought out some issues, but I think that there are ways that these are already being addressed. First of all, when you're elected by a group of people to represent that group of people. Okay, you're making appointments to boards that are going to go for 2 years or whatever. Those boards are supposed to represent the interests of our community, our constituents. When the constituents have an issue, they call you. Okay, you, the sitting commissioner. Okay. Now, the idea of figuring out what these commissions are all about and who the people are and this type of thing. You're elected in November. There's a period between when you're elected and when you take office of over a month and a half. I met with each of you during that period last year. Okay. I'm assuming that other people met with you during that period. Okay. There's whatever. In the past, there's been horse trading done, sidebarring, whatever you want to call it, moving into the organizational meeting where big decisions are made. During that month, better than a month and a half, you have opportunities to look over because Jim and Kelly are going to have a list of applications. You're going to be able to go through them all and do like I did, call some of them and talk to them, and have some of them call me and talk to me, and go out and talk to the public about what they know about them, so that you can gather all the information that you need to make an intelligent decision on the 1st of January, or the organizational meeting in January. Over a month and a half to do that. And I went through all of those resumes. And I went through, and there were names I didn't recognize. But in the resume, if the resume is done right and the person's interested in the job, they'll do it right. They can spell out their strengths and weaknesses. To me, that's the issue. We have time to do it. We have time to gather all the information we need. We are going to be voting for people who are going to sit on boards that our residents in our communities are dealing with. They should be able to come to us and say, okay, this guy's giving me a problem, and you should feel comfortable, say, well, I appointed him to that board, or I voted for him on that board because of this, this, and this. Not, he was appointed to that board by the other board, and I don't have anything to do with it. That's the easy way out. You say, I don't have anything to do with it. They voted him on, there he is. Okay? I think we have responsibilities. And I think those responsibilities extend to being accountable for the people that we appoint out there. And not being able to say, well, they got voted on by the last board. No, they got voted on by us. We did it. We made the decisions. And by God, if you're going to run for this job, you got to stand up and take the responsibility. You can't hide. Thank you.
Commissioner Martin.
I totally understand where Commissioner McLean is coming. Coming in here, all these people were appointed, and yet we had a new majority, and you get this feeling of, well, you know, and we've had people go from here to the road commission, or from here to War Memorial Board, for reasons I'm afraid sometimes are not public service. I think, though, that this board has done enough to clean that up a lot. So I don't see the patronage issue as big of an issue, but I totally understand if we appoint that person, we're going to be able to bend that person's ear if they have no loyalty to us. That being said, though, if they want to be reappointed, they better listen to us. To your point, the other issue is once we appoint them, they're pretty independent anyhow, and they can do what they want. It is a lot to do all of this while we're trying to do the budget. We've got the holidays, we've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, we've got a lot going on in our families, in our professional lives, and then we're going to throw all these appointments in. And I got through every resume, but I'm telling you what, I was up really late, and that's fine, that's part of the job. I am almost to the point of, with the next round of appointments, extending those appointments, and I don't know if we can do this, to June 30th. And you know what? Let's go through this process in April and May when it is our number one priority. And I don't even know if we can do this. But bottom line is, though, come November, we could get voted out of office, and then we've now left these people who are appointed for 2 or 3 years, and we appointed them, and we got booted or we retired. I don't think there's an easy answer here. There's no win-win. And I look at our commissions and committees that we have, and they do a fine job. And part of me also says to Chairman Shackleton's point, if it ain't broke. But I understand where everybody's coming from. My meat in the middle is extend the next round of appointments to June 30th, and let's take care of this in May and June when things are calmer and more focused. But I don't know. I don't know how much we want to change this.
Yeah, let me just add that. I think people, I know for myself, whenever I am looking at an appointment, I think of one thing. Out of the applicants we have, who is the best person for this job? I believe that everybody on this board, and I believe that everybody I've served with, looks at it the same way. Someone may have an inclination to think that because the person they supported didn't get on, that somehow something funny went on. But I prefer to think the best in people and think that they're supporting the best candidate, as do I. And then I want to just remind you of something that you may have read in an email from me. When Dick Timmer ran for state representative and lost, he knew in November that he was not going to be a county commissioner come January 1st. The county had not completely finished the budgeting process. It was a tough year. We were finishing some tough decisions. And he asked me, because I was county chair at the time, he asked me, do you want me to even come to those meetings? I'm not going to be a commissioner come January 1st. I told him that your responsibility as a commissioner does not end until January 1st. Until then, you have a responsibility to participate and do your job. I'm saying the same thing today. Every commissioner on the board has a responsibility, and as long as I'm serving with you as a board member or as a chair, I'm going to support you to do your job until the last day you're on this commission. That's what I got to say. Commissioner McLean.
Scott, I agree with you 100%. And I think that was exactly the right decision for Mr. Timmer and for anybody who gets caught in that thing relative to the budget. They bring a lot to the table there. Okay. But I want to point out a comment that Mr. Martin made, Commissioner Martin. The idea that if we appoint somebody to a board and they don't do a good job, we can boot them off the next time it comes around. Sounds good in theory, but there is a board out there that you can appoint people on right now, and you will never see their name come up again for your appointment, and yet they'll serve for 15, 20 years. And if you want me to be specific, I can tell you which one it is, but I prefer not to. If you read my email, you know which one I'm referring to. They get on there, we come in, we appoint them, away they go, they pass the nominating committee, which is another step of this particular board. They go on, they decide that rather than send their name to us for reappointment, they simply reappoint themselves. And they do that. Okay? And I've had an issue with that for 7 years, ever since I learned of it. Because you're a government teacher. I know you're a government teacher. I know you've taught it. Systems, checks and balances, rights and wrongs, oversight, that type of thing. Some of that, in some cases, not all, not very often, slips away. And I have an issue with that. This is representative government, and every agency that's out there that has any connection to us should have some answerability rather than simply reappointing themselves to various boards forever.
My last comment on this is, there is a sense of accountability that while you're sitting in office, you've made that decision. I would absolutely agree with you that everybody on this board makes the decisions for the right reasons. But what our government is about is checks and balances, like you say. And there is no check and balance for a decision that somebody else makes. And I'm here to make sure that decisions get made that way. And if we can safeguard that and not take people's intentions into order and make them accountable for what they vote for, then I think we do it. We can't always count on having a commission that is reasonable and doing things for the right reasons. We have to make sure that we have created a government system like the rest of our wonderful government that has checks and balances and makes the people who are making these decisions accountable for their actions. Accountability is definitely the issue here.
Okay. I just have to clarify one thing. Commissioner McLean, clearly you're referring to the hospital board and that the county sends over applicants for the board, but I think you are mistaken and perhaps because if we send over an applicant, for instance, we just sent over Tony Andary. When his position's up 4 years from now, that will come back to this board to reconsider to send back over again or to send back somebody else. So I just have to correct that. That what you stated was not right.
Well, I have one comment to this because I've played this game for years with Commissioner Cooper. And I will say that I think you are wrong, just like I told Commissioner Cooper many times. That's your opinion. And until it's shown to me by records, it's your opinion. And I disagree with that opinion.
And you're certainly entitled to your opinion, but it is certainly will bear out scrutiny if you care to check it.
One other point then, I would like to see those records from War Memorial Hospital. I've tried to get records for 7 years from War Memorial Hospital, and I didn't want to get into this because War Memorial Hospital is a fine organization. But they are very reluctant to share any information about what goes on over there. And that's, I didn't want to get into, you mentioned War Memorial Hospital, that's the case.
Are you suggesting the bylaws or the articles of incorporation or some such thing?
I just soon dropped the issue.
I was going to say, I want to get back to this issue,
Well,
which
that's
is,
all fine and good, but I think we're
muddying the waters
I
here.
think we're going to be talking about the hospital board in the next point, and just for your information, if you want a copy of the bylaws and of the articles of incorporation, here I am for you right here. They're readily available to anyone who asks. And the hospital has certainly been, I think from anybody's point of view, has been very cooperative and open anytime we've ever asked them anything. You get an email every month that lays out the exact financial picture and what's going on there.
I don't get that.
It's in your
Jim?
board-
It's in your board packet.
It's in the
Yeah,
board packet every month.
that's new.
Okay, so it's in the board packet, it's not a
That's been
separate
around for
email?
3 or 4 years, and it was something I asked the CEO to do, to provide a monthly summary of what's going on at the hospital and detailing out the finances of the last month.
So let me get this straight, it's a letter from the president, not from the board,
It's
correct?
a letter from the CEO.
Okay.
Yes.
John.
Okay, but we don't have any control over the CEO. Our appointment is to the board, so why wouldn't it come from the chair of the board or a representative of the board as something that is board approved for our approval? So we at least are getting something back from the place that we're appointing, not from the chief executive officer of the hospital.
Well, we definitely are getting off subject, but the CEO is in the best position to provide financial numbers and an executive summary of what's going on as far as inpatient admissions, outpatient admissions, how this compares to previous months and years. I think the CEO is in the best position to do that.
Right, and what I'm saying is that might not be the information that we're requesting to be pertinent. What we're maybe requesting is what the board of directors is facing and the decisions they're having to make. CEOs make very, very different decisions than what the board does. The board makes decisions that affect the CEO and gives the CEO directions, whereas the CEO is just reporting numbers. So it would spell which direction the hospital is going in more so than the numbers. The numbers tell the tale of what's happened. A board report would be where the hospital is being pointed. So
Can we just go to a meeting and find that out?
I'm not entirely sure what your point is, but fine. The one thing we need to recall is that the hospital is probably a exception to those that we have any association with in appointments, because it is a nonprofit corporation and has a different set of rules than certainly a public body would. So, in any case, go ahead.
I don't want to belabor the point, but the encounters that I've had, and okay, Scott, I praise you, compliment you on getting David John to submit that report. I read it every month and I pay attention to it, and he does an excellent job. He has a financial manager over there by the name of Kevin Kelchek, who keeps the numbers, and they do a terrific job. Okay? I have no problem with War Memorial Hospital's operation at that point. But during the 7 years, we have dealt with issues regarding War Memorial Hospital on expansions and changing their agreements with us because we own bits and pieces of War Memorial Hospital. Chippewa County does. Okay? And when they have come to us, because they have to, before they can make changes in government loan policies and things like that that are benefiting the hospital, they come to us. And in every one of those encounters, when you start asking specific questions, you don't get answers. And you get an issue of stonewalling. And I've even been asked, okay, be upfront, I've even been asked, serving commissioners who are on the hospital board, those ignorant questions: how much do you get paid? What are the benefits? Those types of things. And I've never gotten an answer. It's like they take an oath of secrecy or whatever. I don't know what it is, but to me, the hospital does a great job. My son works there, folks, and I may be jeopardizing his job by running off my mouth here. I hope not. But the changes that I'm asking to be made are only common sense changes. They reflect what our whole entire form of government of checks and balances is all about, and it establishes accountability. I don't want to go over there and run that hospital. I'll tell you, if I had the opportunity to be appointed to the hospital board, I would turn it down. Because to me, as I've told all of you, my son works there, and that's a conflict of interest to me. And I don't want anybody to ever think that I have a conflict of interest on any issue. So I don't want to run the hospital board. I just want to see a process set up that is accountable to our residents out there. who voted for us. And that's the direction that this whole effort is all about.
Got one quick question.
Go ahead, Commissioner
Chippewa
Johnson.
County owns part of the hospital, why aren't we allowed to go to the meetings?
Okay, I'm glad you asked, because that gives me an opportunity to explain a little something. First of all, I would take tremendous exception to the suggestion that the hospital has ever stonewalled this board. I think the hospital has been open, cooperative, has come to the commission to discuss any issue and to be of assistance anytime we had an issue. They even volunteer to help us on a few of our boards, such as was it OPEB, the OPEB fund. The one thing the board has to remember is that the hospital, as are many of the boards that we're going to be discussing, is completely independent from the county. While the county does own a portion of the old building and some of the property, what we really need to do, I mean, if we're going to talk about this, you really got to go back to the beginning. The beginning was that the hospital was owned entirely by Chippewa County. It was a county-owned and operated hospital. This board, many years ago, probably about 20 years ago or 25 years ago, decided to spin off the hospital to be a nonprofit corporation. There were many reasons to do that, but I wasn't there at the time, but I know that they spun it off to be a nonprofit corporation. Now, it is completely an independent operation from Chippewa County and must be in order to continue under IRS rules to be a nonprofit corporation. It has to be independently operated from the board. And board members on the hospital board, and I have some information in front of me here that I thought was pretty interesting, because there were questions about whether county commissioners could even serve on the hospital board. And what the legal opinion was that yes, they can serve as long as they are not serving in an official capacity as a county commissioner, because they have a requirement by the IRS for nonprofit corporation community board to be independently concerned with the interest of the community as a whole. So the hospital does have an annual audit of which they invite the entire board, this board, to come attend that audit meeting and ask all the questions they want. So I just, somehow to try to throw in that the hospital is operating less than in an open manner, frankly, I find it offensive, because the hospital does a great job. We've got great people on that board, and the hospital is doing a great job serving our community. So, Commissioner Egan.
I'd just like to clarify that I'm not saying that there is somehow something shifty going on. All I was saying is that there is a large difference between a report from a CEO and a report from a board. And also, I need some clarification. So why is it that the chair is automatically put on the War Memorial Board? Is that just an honorary thing, or is that an official bylaw? Because if so, wouldn't that be breaking the official capacity on the board?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Yes, it would. And in fact, what happened, and again, the history of that was, several years ago, Commissioner Cooper had brought up the idea that when we had a vacancy on the hospital board, that, hey, why don't we appoint the chair, whoever's the chair of the board, to do it? So informally, they said, yeah, okay, we'll go ahead and do that. So that was when I got appointed to the hospital board. It's not a formal policy of this board. It was an idea that was brought up at the time, and the board chose to do it. And it is not a position on the hospital board, because it could not be without jeopardizing their IRS nonprofit status.
So why isn't there an informal appointment of you to the board? Last year when appointments were made, it was just you were appointed, there was no informal, okay, we appoint Scott because he's chairman of the board. It was just assumed that it was going to go that way.
It was this is a 4-year appointment as per
Okay.
theirs, and it's still not up for a couple of years.
Okay.
So I frankly, I don't think my position on the board, if I'm not mistaken, has not come open yet during your tenure.
Right. Okay, so that answers my question why it wasn't done then. Okay.
Just as state law says that HBH appointments are 3-year appointments. You know, the hospital board has a policy that they're 4-year appointments, and that's included in the corporate bylaws.
Okay.
Commissioner McLean.
Okay. Corporate bylaws. If you look at I believe all of the corporate bylaws, Chippewa County is listed as part of the incorporation of that. I know that happened on HBH, because I was there. I've had an association with HBH for over 20 years. And unfortunately, it goes back to my daughter and her illnesses. I was dealing with HBH, or mental health organizations, when it was still Eastern UP Mental Health Organization, consisting of, I believe, Chippewa and Mackinac County. And if my memory serves me right, they got into deep doo financially, okay? And 38,000 people in Chippewa County, 12,000 people in Mackinac County got into deep doo, and we went to Schoolcraft County with a population of 8,000 people for them to bail us out, okay? Now, they took on that, I think, gladly, because any money coming to them is based on how many people you have that you're serving. Okay, and they gained 50-some thousand people. Okay, that made a difference in their bottom line, made a difference in how much money they could spend on Christmas bonuses. I can tell you stories, folks, but we're on their bylaws. We're listed as part of what they're all about. When Chippewa County War Memorial Hospital, or War Memorial Hospital as it's called now, was developed, the land still, I believe, belongs to us, belongs to Chippewa County. If, God forbid, the hospital went completely kaput. Okay, I introduced a term to you called LEO, local elected officials. Okay, and I pointed out, as I've learned by dealing with Michigan Works, that if all these entities get into trouble, the legal eagles start following the little strings, and those strings lead right back to the county, and the county is responsible for, each individual county is responsible for covering bad finances, legal situations that are really screwed up, and so on and so forth. I pointed out Western Michigan Works Agency. Okay, they were taken over by the Central Michigan Central EUP Works Agency, and they're still fighting. One county is still fighting about how much money they owe to pay that back. Okay, the same thing, I believe, is on EUPTA, the Transportation Authority, HBH, and there was another one that I slips me now, but I mentioned it in my memos. They're called locally elected officials. And folks, that's what this job is all about. You think you get elected and you just come to a meeting and smile and collect your per diem? No. If there's a massive screw up, they come looking for your head. That's what this job is all about. And that's making decisions, and that's making choices, and that's holding people accountable. I'm gonna be attending, I hopefully am going to be reappointed to the Michigan Works Board again this time. Mr. Martin serves on that committee with me, and I hope that I go get the opportunity to represent, and that's the agenda item I wanted to add, as the local elected official on this new board that is gonna serve UP-wide. I want to make all of those other commissioners aware of just what the responsibility they're taking on and the decisions they're making, because some of them don't have a clue. That's where I am.
I thought that was one of the things that was in Jeff's letter, is we could be on the hook for $152,000 in liabilities if this, things don't fall the way we're used to. And I talked to somebody in the community who's very concerned about Chippewa County is on the hook for $40 million in liability from the hospital. And I don't even know if that's true, Scott. And I'm sure.
I'll get to it.
I'm sure that you can correct me if that person's wrong, because that person, I don't know if he had an axe to grind with the hospital or what, but he's like, you know, you guys are on the hook for all $40 million that's owed. And I'm like, okay, I don't know, but I figure someone can clear it up for me if I get that opportunity. But I really think we've gone off task here a little bit, because I thought the gist of what we were talking about was to make our appointments
In January.
to make our appointments more reflective of the Chippewa County Board. And I still don't see a perfect way to do it. We have the status quo. We have rushing to do it in basically January 2nd next year. And then we have my bright or not so bright idea of when we do our appointments next year, of having them go longer than they're stated to maybe June 30th and doing it in May and June. I don't.
Could we find a happy medium there and maybe do it in February? Is that more feasible than pushing it off till June, or is it?
I don't know. I'm just trying to find it. I'm just trying to find a time, and I don't even know if we can legally do it. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kelly.
If you do it in June, then every other year, is that not gonna be a conflict with
Who's running for commission? Yeah, that would be a bigger conflict than.
Jim German?
And the timing of June is not gonna be compatible with some of the offices that need to be filled.
Okay, but that's what I mean. I'm just throwing out there because I don't know. I'm new to this too. I'm trying to find
The best.
a happy compromise here. And it sounds like that's not a choice. So
Well,
so
two things. First of all, thank you. You're right. We need to focus back on the original matter at hand. But I think that a lot of these issues were, floating around and influencing both this and the next thing we're going to talk about. So we're kind of talking about issues with both this and the next one. I just need to clarify one thing. HBH is a multi-county authority. It is totally separate from an independent a nonprofit corporation. Chippewa County is not on the papers of governance of War Memorial Hospital, and is not legally on the responsible for its staff. It is a completely independent nonprofit corporation. The relationship that we have is that we lease the property because the county still owns it from the days of when it was a county hospital. The old building and some of the property we lease to the hospital for $1 a year in the interest of providing health services to Chippewa County. That is about the extent of our direct relationship with the hospital.
So that's our bargaining chip, or is a $1 lease?
Yes, it is.
No.
And I remind them of that too, that the county is not going to sign over the property because we want to have a little bit of influence on them. However, in order to continue to be recognized as a nonprofit organization. They have to operate, and the board has to operate as an independent board. And again, I found this legal opinion, I hadn't seen it before today, really interesting, because I kind of understood it was out there, but I never seen it summarized down so clearly. So, but let's get back to the original point. The original point, and I believe is a motion before us.
I call the question.
Thank you, and that's what I was moving towards, Commissioner. The original point and the motion before us is, shall the Board of Commissioners nominate and vote to fill the previously approved nominees of the Board of Commissioners at the January meeting? A yes vote would be to approve this, a no vote would be to continue to do it in December or change it at a later date, I guess. So, all in favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, vote nay. I vote nay, so the motion passes. And I would take it,
Does change to bylaws not need to go under roll call?
I don't know, what do you think? Let's do a roll call.
Okay.
That's fine.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Could we have this read one last time? I wanna know exactly what I'm voting for here, I'm sorry.
Would you care to read it, clerk? Do you have it?
I can do
For
it if it's handier
vacancies?
for you.
pardon me?
I can do it if it's handier for you.
I do.
Well, I have it, but since the clerk's calling the vote, I thought
Okay,
it'd be more
that's
appropriate that she
fine.
read it.
For vacancies that expire on 12/31, the Board of Commissioners will nominate and vote to fill the previously approved nominees at the Board of Commissioners January organizational meeting.
Okay. And that's all we're voting on, is that one?
Yes, that's all we're voting on. Can you call a roll call vote for that, please?
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Nay.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes?
and Chairman Shackleton.
Yes, or no, rather, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be agreeable. No, but the motion does prevail, so we move on. The next, we're still on the same subject, and Commissioner McLean, I believe you had another one that you wanted to discuss.
Yes, if you look on that handout again, that is listed as idea at the top, going down near the bottom, it's section 9.7.5. And I believe this is a new section. And it reads, if a member of the Board of Commissioners is appointed to fill a vacancy, the term shall follow the commissioner's term of office. I believe that "of" is out of place there. And then it's followed by a comma, and it says if the bylaws of the entity allows this. Okay, and I'm going to elaborate just a bit. Okay, if you will allow me, Mr. Chairman. Okay.
Quite.
This is something that I've always felt strongly about. But again, that's just me. I believe that when I'm appointed as a commissioner to represent the residents of the community on a board, when I am no longer a commissioner, I am no longer representing their interests, therefore I should no longer be on that committee. It sort of ties in with what we were talking about above. And I don't know if it's on the official record or not, but when we were in a contentious issue a number of years ago, I said that when I am no longer a commissioner, I would resign from all of the committees that I was appointed to. That'll be tough because I'm chairman of HBH now, but I plan to do this for another couple of years, folks. But
EDC.
not EDC, not HBH, God, don't get me confused with that. Okay, so I wrote in red or black or whatever you have following that, I've got that last statement about the entity allows. in parentheses. And I think we should strike that part of the statement. And it should read, strike this or research to see what bylaws of the organizations have to say about this and change and ask them to change their bylaws to reflect the term of office. Because I strongly believe that when you are appointed as a commissioner to represent the public, you have a constituency that you're representing, and I will point out the Transpo Board, okay? The Transpo Board, okay? You're representing the people of the district. I have two ferries in my district, Sugar Island and Nevis, okay? There's nobody on this commission here that represents that interest at all now. Now, it's been said that it doesn't have to be a commissioner and that you can't do it because the term is such and such and all of this. Tune in to what's going on in Luce County right now. They appointed 2 people from their commission to represent them on the Transpo Board. Okay? Guess what? They both resigned from the commission. And they're figuring out over there somehow how to fill those positions. Okay? There's one that happened on Michigan Works. The Ron Ford from Michigan Works served for a couple of years. He decided he was moving to Florida, resigned his position, and we're figuring out how to fill that position with another commissioner from there. So this idea that it's cast in stone that Ron Ford was appointed for a 3-year term on a board and he doesn't want to do it anymore, but he's still on that board. Come on, folks, that ain't going to happen. He isn't going to show up. So my contention is that we strike that last part of it, which says if bylaws of the entity allows it. And I think that if we approach each of these organizations in a reasonable manner, and I would trust this to our administrator, he didn't know that he was going to get this job, that he could talk to them, and I believe that they would all be reasonable in accepting that as part of it, part of what they're all about. That's what this one is all about, folks.
So we won't be voting on this tonight, we're just talking it over and getting
Nope.
some information, or?
Nope, I wanted to vote on it, and I wanted to read with the addition of what I've written at the back. We're gonna strike that last little part that's in parentheses and add that the administration will contact, and I believe there's only 4 groups out there: EDC, HBH, the hospital board, and the UPTA. There you go. There's 4 right there.
Well, this won't affect the hospital board though, will it? No, it can't,
You can't?
because
Well,
it's a private.
well, again, those are opinions. And opinions, I could give you all kinds of gross terms as to what opinions are worth. But I'm not going to, okay? I'm trying to be gentleman tonight. Okay? The idea is that, again, the hospital board does a great job. I have no problem with the hospital. They're doing a wonderful, the hospital does a great job. But again, accountability is what we're all about, folks. We're supposed to be looking out for our residents and that their interests are represented on these boards. And that's our responsibility. And there needs to be a checks and balance built in. This statement that I have here reflects that because you're appointed to the A board and the board's term of office is 4 years and you get voted out of office the next year, to me, you shouldn't be sitting on there for 3 more years simply because you were appointed to a 3-year term. And I think each of these organizations out there that I mentioned, those 4 organizations, would be agreeable to that.
Commissioner Martin.
I would like to see this change, though, if we're going to move forward with this, that so long as another standing commissioner wants that office, and here's why. If if you decide to retire, you do an outstanding job on all the commissions that I've seen. To lose you and your insight and your wisdom would be a loss to that commission if none of us thought we could do a better job or wanted to be on it or could fit it into our schedule. Because as you all are aware, I teach, so if they meet at 10 a.m. or they meet at 2 in the afternoon, I can't be on it. I can't do it. I don't get vacation time. I would do that one addendum. If Commissioner Shackleton decides not to run and nobody else wants to be on War Memorials Board, then he should be able to keep that. I don't think just because you retire or you lose an election, boom, you're off all the committees. Because we all here have something to offer all of the committees that we're on, and obviously are all involved in our community and care a lot about our community. We wouldn't have run for this. So I would say, fine, if you decide to retire in a couple years, and one of us four, if we're all still here, wants that office, then we would have the right possibly to do that. But if maybe nobody wants to be on EDC of us four, then you could stay on EDC and would not have to resign or would not be pushed out if you chose to retire or were kicked out of office. But if your replacement wanted to be on EDC, they would have essentially first dibs at that. If they chose not to, then you could stay. I don't want to push people out because they lose an election if they have something to contribute to. In fact, if anything else, they would have more time to contribute to that committee or that commission because, well, now they're not a county commissioner, and they don't have to play politics. They can actually do the work of that commission without worrying about retribution and politics. And I don't know if we're too deep in this process to change that, Kelly.
Mr. Chairman, just had asked to be recognized.
Respectfully, Commissioner Martin and Commissioner McLean, the way you just put it, I like it, but exactly flip-flopped. I think that if Don is chair of the EDC and he's out there doing a good job, which I've seen that he is, then if his term of office goes for another year or two, he should be allowed to stay there. And then when that term is up, you guys can decide whether he's capable there or not. But I think you're kind of looking at it backwards, giving a new commissioner that comes on the opportunity to say, you're out of here. I think, because you do a good job, Don.
Well, let me just inject one other thing here. Currently, the relationship we have with these boards is they tell us that we have a position open, would you please make an appointment to fill this position? What we're proposing doing is flip that and say, we're going to tell you when we're going to take and make a appointment. And again, there are boards that we have positions where we need to put in county representatives. Those are easy to change and make sure that it's a current sitting commissioner if we choose to. There's other boards where we appoint people. For instance, HBH. When we had an appointment open, we appointed Rudy and we appointed Connor. Those are 3-year appointments. By the way, those by law are 3-year appointments. Are we to go to them if one of you decides not to run or loses your race? Are we supposed to go to HBH and say, hey, by the way, they're not commissioners anymore, we're appointing somebody else? We simply don't have the authority.
I've seen that happen, Scott.
No, not legally. You had...
I'll tell you, I have been to
Commissioner,
more meetings.
I have the floor if I may complete this.
Excuse me.
By law, and I have a copy of the law in front of me if you like, those are 3-year appointments. If someone voluntarily resigned from it because they lost as a commission race or allowed themselves to be removed and have someone else appointed, that may have been an exception. But the fact is, those are 3-year appointments. Now, if you look back to the last meeting, we had an appointment to the War Memorial Hospital Board. We had some good candidates, including Commissioner Rudy. So Commissioner Johnson wanted to be considered. And we had also Tony Andary. Tony Andary happened to prevail this time. Are you telling me that because he's not a commissioner, he gets a 4-year appointment, but if Commissioner Johnson ran, it would have only been a 1-year appointment if he were to lose? No. It's an appointment of an individual to that board. You know, you appoint the individuals, you respect these boards who are asking for appointments. When we have county-created entities, or we have boards who are asking for county representatives, fine, we'll send county representatives. But when you have boards like Transpo, by the way, I have a ferry in my district. When you have ferries like Transpo, you have committees like the hospital, HBH, those we are appointing people to, not positions. And we simply are setting up a conflict down the road. Because if you tell HBH that we're going to replace someone after 2 years because he lost an election, they're going to rightfully come back and tell us to pound sand. We can't do that. That board is independent from us. So is HBH. So is the EUP Transpo. So we need to be respectful to those organizations, make the appointments as they come filled, and also trust that the people that we saw fit to send there are going to do a good job. When their positions come available for reappointment, we can consider at that time whether we want to reappoint them or appoint someone else. Commissioner Egan.
I'll just make the point that my decision making, I think, is directly reflected by if I get voted in or not. So if I'm making poor decisions and they vote me out, does that mean I should still be able to make those poor decisions for the next 2 years? If we could nicely go to these boards and say, you know, we're not saying you have to do this. We're respectfully asking you if you will allow us to do this so that those people are accountable for their decision making, and that if they get voted out, it's because they get voted out or they feel the need to withdraw from their public capacity. That's all I'm saying. We don't have to force anything down anybody's throat. There's a happy medium here where we can do what is responsible to our voters and also do what is responsible to the bylaws of these boards.
Okay. Commissioner McLean.
As I said, I've had a long-standing relationship with HBH. And I know that the bylaws say that there will be 4 county commissioners on HBH. Okay?
That I will attest to.
Okay? That's what it says. It says 4 county commissioners. Okay? Now, when we originally, and I sat through all of this, when it was agreed upon that a 11,000 population county would take over or conglomerate with a county of 38,000 and another of 12,000. Okay? It was agreed that Mackinac County at 12,000, Schoolcraft County at 8,000 would each have a county commissioner on the board. Chippewa County, because we had 38,000 people, were allowed to have 2. And I have sat through the changing of elections and commissioners, and it's like changing your gloves when they get wet in the wintertime. Okay? It's done easily. And I think, Connor, you've got an ideal solution to it. We're not forcing anything down anybody's throat. This simply states that our administrators are going to go and ask if they can change their bylaws to reflect that we feel we need an elected commissioner who's answerable at all times to his constituents to serve on those boards. And that's what this is all about.
Okay, 2 things. The state mental health code, which is law, states the term of office of a board member shall be 3 years from April 1st of the year of appointment. What you're asking them to do is contrary to state law. They can't do it. Secondly, there are boards that we make appointments to that we appoint people who happen to be commissioners. We have an option of appointing someone who is a commissioner, or we have an option of appointing someone who is a member of the community. That last example I gave to the hospital board is a good one. If we appointed a commissioner, then somehow his position on there is not for 4 years, but if we appointed someone from the community, it is? That doesn't make sense to me. Perhaps we would have appointed someone from the commission because it was someone that we felt comfortable going over there and doing a good job. So I just simply think what we're trying to do here is flip our relationship with the boards by telling them when and how we're going to appoint, where right now they tell us when they have an opening and when they need it filled. If what your proposal is to work towards the boards and commissions that have county representatives on them to make those concurrent with their term of office, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's fine. But you can't, in my view, go to other boards that are independent, that we appoint individuals to, rather than positions filled, and if you get my meaning, you can't go to them and say, you have to change your rules because we want you to. You know, HBH, all these boards are going to resent the fact if we try to force this down their throat. If you want to, again, follow a process of approaching these boards and committees, and where we have a county representative there, make sure it's consistent with the term of office, that's fine, let's do that.
What's the motion on the floor, just to clarify?
I'm not sure what the motion is.
Okay, could I just interrupt for a
Go ahead.
second?
You're not interrupting, you have the
You know,
floor.
we've been talking and talking and talking, and we're talking about issues that are interrelated and everything else. There are some outstanding questions at this point. Perhaps a tabling motion would be in order, because we can table this till our next meeting, and we can amend our bylaws at any time.
Does that mean that we can get a legal opinion on this matter to see if it is in fact illegal to change our appointments to reflect our terms in office? Is that possible?
I can tell you right now, it's not illegal, it just has no effect. I mean, if we tell HBH that we're making 2-year appointments instead of 3, they'll say, well, you can think what you like, but whoever you send over is a 3-year appointment.
And like I said, I think we go to them and I think we can get an agreement to make it official that they understand that if somebody gets voted out of office or wants to retire, that they can withdraw from that position. I know that any position that I take on a board, I can withdraw from any time, even though it's a 3-year appointment. What I'm suggesting is that we make sure that, you know, as a commissioner, I am accountable for my decision making. And if I get voted out of office, should I be making decisions after the fact that I got voted out of office? I don't like that idea. Obviously, I wasn't making the decisions that the people wanted me to. So why should I get to
motion?
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to table. When there is a motion to table, there is no further discussion, there is a vote on it. Is that I don't think it has to be a roll call, I think it can be a voice vote.
Correct.
All in favor of tabling the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
We have 1 nay, and I guess I'd vote nay too, just because I just prefer to get it done with, but it still prevails. So that motion is tabled and we're done discussing it.
Well, and my motion did include until our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
because there's methods of tabling that they never come back. There are other methods of tabling where they're coming back at a time definite, and this one is coming back at a time definite.
All right.
Scott, is this not fun?
But there isn't supposed to be any further discussion, but I think part of my motion included that Jim and Kelly were going to interact with the agencies of concern. I'm hoping that's part, so that we have some more information to work with
That would
when
be
this
very
comes
nice,
back.
is if they could give us some input on what they'd like.
Thank you.
Cause like I said, I don't wanna force anything.
Okay. Okay, I think we all know how to proceed with that issue. We move to, another really tough issue. This is the Chippewa County Health Department, telecommunication system. Dave? I'm just gonna ask you to go ahead and address the board on it.
Good evening.
Hello, sir.
This is the grand guru now, fellas. He's talking to you. This guy right here is the grand guru of
You have to stand up for
technology.
You gotta be very careful what he says.
I just want you to remember all the good things I've done, okay?
Is that how you wound up in that boot?
No,
The good
actually,
things you've done?
I'd rather not tell you how I had, I was signing checks last week and noticed that our VIA contract, instead of running out in March, runs out on January 13th, which is next week. And the VIA contract quote that I got was a 4-year maintenance contract on a phone system that we purchased in 2007. It's old technology, and the bid for that was $41,447.04 for 4 years. Knowing what the county paid for their phone system over here, I contacted DS Tech and got a quote for them for a system just like the one that the county's using, with a 5-year maintenance contract on it, and it was actually $400 more. So for 5 years, we'd be paying $41,865.05. This will all be in front of the finance committee meeting at the health department this week, but timing isn't on my side right now. If we don't act, a contract gets expanded by 1 year, which would cost us $9,600, which I'd rather spend on new equipment. Okay, the equipment that we're using has half the capabilities of what you have right here. Also, there's something that I wanted to try, but I was afraid to for the county, is a SIP technology, which on my paper should work, which would drop your costs and my costs for the health department $500 a month, $6,000 a year by dropping a certain type of line. So we would like to purchase this system, and it'll be in front of the finance board of the health department, and it'll be over $5,000, and I just need approval.
Can you give us just a round number, or a closer number, or not to exceed number?
The not to exceed number is $41,865.05, financed over 5 years.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, this technology would allow us to say we have something go down at the health department or the county here to maybe be able to help each other.
About 20 years ago, we made the decision that HBH, CCHD, and the county would use the same phone system. It's worked out pretty good where Mary Pirelli, myself, and Kelly program the phone systems. We all use the assistance of Frank White, who recently passed away. And that's worked very well for us, including, I need a phone, you guys have one, I need a board, you guys need a board, I had one. We shared technology also. If I'm on vacation, Brian and Jenny can cover me, and vice versa. I can cover them if they go on vacation, or if they go out of town, which happened once this year, so.
That's true.
I would move the proposal presented by Mr. Petrangelo.
I just had one quick question. Does it have that really cool system on it called Mixie?
Yes, it does.
It's a good system.
And it will only be used on people who can handle it. There will be some people that will not be, it will be available to.
All right, motion made by Commissioner McLean, supported by Commissioner Johnson. Is there further questions or discussion?
Oh,
Waive the policy.
Oh, we need to waive the purchasing policy?
Yes.
That would be
$5,000.
included
Yeah.
as part of my,
That was part of your motion?
part of my motion.
And part of your support as well, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
All right. Any other discussion or questions?
This is gonna save us money, correct?
Down the road, yes. And we get a year for $400 in warranty, so.
Man, you got
Save money in a better system,
Yeah.
right? Is that fair to say?
Win-win.
That's too good to
Scott?
be true.
Yes, sir.
I only have one question, or one comment, and that is, I would apologize to Mr. Petrangelo that he had to sit through this discussion earlier to wait to take care of this
I found it
business.
very
which is
interesting.
good. Well, thank you.
You said
You
that with a
must be on
straight
good
face.
painkillers then.
Local government at its finest.
Rather not.
All in favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Thank you.
For
David.
your patience.
Emergency
Or Dave.
Management Performance Grant, additional funds, that's on page 14. Michigan State Police, Kelly or Jim, do you wanna, Kelly?
This is, just for an additional $1,273.54 for the emergency management performance grant. They just had some monies at the end of the year, and Missy can seek those monies out for the county.
So if we give this $1,273, what does it get us?
1,200,
It gets us,
some money towards operations.
Okay, so it's absolutely necessary to operate.
No,
No?
but it gives us it gives us some state money towards our operation.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So if
Yeah.
we invest this
we're not
1273, we get.
no, we're not investing, they're giving us.
Oh.
Yeah, they're
Wait,
giving
never
us-
mind. I thought we were doing it to get a grant. So
No, no.
my mistake.
We already
Read it wrong.
utilized that, they have some extra money, and we're gonna take it, as long as you guys approve it.
Yes.
Make a motion, we accept it.
I'll second that.
Motion made and supported that we authorize the application to receive this grant money. Is there further discussion?
Yeah.
All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. Custom technology, additional billing for the circuit courtroom work.
This is an overcharge. They actually had some problems within the courtroom. The walls not running flat. And, so they
That's an
had-
understatement, by the way.
That ain't pumps going level?
So this is I think 2,600, if I have my glasses.
22, 33.
Yeah, and I didn't feel comfortable approving it because the commission had made a final decision on the billing, and Mr. Joe Jazz came back to me after and said, Jim, this is what happened, you can please understand why, and would the commission come up with the additional dollars, and I said I would bring it to them.
Guys, question?
Go ahead.
Okay. Is this part of the system that we're putting in so people can hear what's going on within the courtroom? Finally?
It's done too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
Okay.
I say we all go over and look at it, but that's just me.
I would move approval of the customs technology additional billing for circuit courtroom work as is indicated on page 16.
Support.
Is there any further discussion?
I will say that I had a family member serve on a jury, and they had served on a jury before, and they said how refreshing it was to be able to hear the judge. So, it's working, obviously.
I think that's great work, great news. I'm glad to hear it. I guess I have a little bit of reluctance on this just because, you know, a 150-year-old building, the walls weren't plumb. Well, no kidding. This comes as a surprise to you? You know, I mean, I guess I just feel that when he sized up the job and gave us a price to do the job, he should have realized that the walls aren't gonna be plumb, and I'm pretty darn sure the corners aren't square either, you know? But,
I'd be impressed if you could find a square corner in that whole building.
no kidding, absolutely.
No,
So, but I don't know, I guess you don't, I guess we'll just be nice because it's Christmas and assume that it was an oversight on his part and let him charge for it, I guess.
I will say this, from a contractor point of view, yes, he should have caught it. He is a small business owner that is been very loyal to Chippewa County. He's done a great job where other people have failed. I don't think he necessarily has a strong background in structural design, so I don't know that he took that into consideration. Is that his fault? Maybe, but at the same time, we got a problem solved for a lot less than we got quoted for all the electronics to do it, so win-win.
All right.
I agree with you.
Motion on the floor. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote nay. Motion carries. We move to security benefits, new plan document on page 17 in your packet.
This is just one of our deferred companies that we have, and they come up with new, plan documents, which include the loan policy and, just a resolution that you guys need to adopt, so I won't need a roll call vote for this. This is nothing, no county monies, this is all employees who choose to use them as their deferred comp program.
We have a resolution on page 19 that is up for consideration. I would need a motion if we're to proceed with it.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion made and supported that we approved resolution 1601, first one of the year. Is there discussion of the motion on the floor? Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Aye.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
and Chairman Shackleton.
Yes. Participant loan policy, page 20. This is part of the same, Kelly?
We can include it as part of the same, just as a group.
I'm sorry?
I
We
thought we
can
were
do
doing
it
that.
that way.
No, I'm sorry. Is this related to the previous?
Yes, all three of those items are for security benefit.
Okay,
So you borrow out your own money, it's not.
okay. So let's approve that loan policy separately.
Okay. I move we accept the loan policy as presented.
Support.
Motion made and supported to approve the participant loan policy as presented on page 20 of our packet. Is there discussion? All in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed vote nay. Motion carries. Finally, the adoption agreement for eligible government 457 plan, page 22. And this is still related to the original resolution.
Support we accept the adoption agreement for eligible government for 57 plan as presented.
Support.
Motion made and supported that we approve the adoption agreement for eligible governmental 457 plan. Is there discussion? All in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed vote nay. Motion carries. We did add a agenda item. This is the appointment of a commissioner to the, what is it, the UTC, the Upward Talent Agent, Council. Rather.
Okay.
Commissioner Martin?
I would move that Commissioner McLean be appointed to that position. Having served on the committee with him, he has worked unbelievably hard at trying to make sure that the governor's plan was implemented as painlessly as possible, and with us losing as little autonomy as possible. It has truly been like a salmon swimming upstream, and that stream is the Niagara River. But he is, I think he's done an excellent job of giving us as much, if not more, than anybody else has as far as autonomy, and trying to make sure that the Central UP does not make an unbelievably strong power grab. As it stands, unfortunately, they're in charge of all the money. But he has given us as much autonomy as we're going to get under the law, and I know that he'll go over there and continue to fight for the EUP and its citizens. And so I would like
That's a motion.
to see him appointed to that position.
I'll support.
Motion made and supported that Commissioner McLean be appointed to the Upward Talent Council. I keep wanting to say agency.
As long as you're up for it. I mean,
I can be
you're
there.
on the mend.
I'm on the mend, folks.
Good to hear.
Yep, the cane is just a sympathy stick. People feel sorry for.
Discussion, I think we just did that. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
vote nay. Motion carries.
I move we adjourn.
Well,
Oh, wait, we do.
Commissioner McLean did ask to have time for comments.
Okay, just to be
No.
brief. Ha ha.
Heard that before.
The MAC Legislative Conference is coming up in Lansing on February 28th and March 1st. It's one of the most important conferences, and I know, Mr. Martin, you probably don't have a vacation that coincides with that, but it is one of the most important events that MAC holds. They hold two big events during the year. This is the spring one, and if you can possibly make it, it's held generally at the Radisson Hotel and Convention Complex in Lansing. And you meet with legislators, there's breakout sessions, training. I haven't been to one yet that I haven't come back with at least 3 or 4 good ideas of things that can save us money.
February 28th and March 1st?
Well, we have February 29th this year. This is
Oh yeah, it's leap year. Okay, so
Yeah.
for,
okay. So if you could put that on your calendar early and see if you could work that out, I would appreciate some company there because I plan to attend.
I plan on going.
Good.
Isn't the 28th the weekend?
Sunday, yeah.
It's
Sunday? Okay.
Yeah. You'd actually be driving down, if you wanna do it right, you drive down Sunday afternoon, stay Sunday night, stay Monday night, and then leave at noon on Tuesday. So it's a 2-nighter. Okay, then I have one other thing I want to mention, and that is, I wanted to actually add it to the agenda next month. So I wanted to give you a head start on this, and that is that I would like us to consider NACO membership, National Association of County Membership, actually joining after many, many years of not being able to afford it, but supposedly. But I think the dues would amount to around $700. But if you are not familiar with NACO as a county commissioner, I will provide you with information regarding all that they provide us. So.
I'd like to see that as well. It's, I've been doing my research on it, and the benefits from it are far outweigh the financial losses that we will have to take, so.
But Don Cooper never wanted NATO. I'm sorry.
Don't get out of here now. That's the last comment. Let's end on that.
Anyone else?
Now, this is later.
Yeah,
motion
oh, wait.
go ahead.
I'd like to say Happy New Year to everybody, and I hope your 2016 is as amazing as 2015, or better.
Or better.
And the law that will not allow us to talk about any bonding issue has still not been signed by the governor because they're getting a lot of flack. So if any doggone newspaper guy left again. If you want to call the governor's office on that, he still has not signed it because he's getting a lot of heat because literally, because we were talking about doing the veterans, one, within 60 days, even if we got a phone call, we can't talk about it. 60 days before.
It's crazy.
Yeah, on our own time. That's
crazy.
insane. I don't believe it's even constitutional,
I
but
don't either.
but he has not signed that, which I'm shocked. I thought by now it'd be a done deal. He'd signed it and moved on, but he has not signed that law yet.
Okay. Motion to adjourn, is there?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
There's your motion to adjourn.
give me credit for that.
Supported. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Kelly, I'm
Hey
writing my
guys,
check.